Ed, why don't you start out telling the viewers a little bit about yourself, your history, what you've done in Charlotte, and why you're running?
Why? I have spent a great deal of time living in Charlotte, about 39 years. And half of the time, 20 years, I've been on the select board. And that brings a lot of things to mind when you're on a select board and you have to deal with the 5 people that you're with. And what did you accomplish, Ed? Well, we worked with the Rockefellers to get the Demeter Park accomplished. We have that now. It's called the Charlotte Park. The other thing we did work on was a conservation fund where we put 2 cents out of the tax rate to conserve property in the town of Charlotte. And if you drive through Charlotte, you'll notice that the open spaces are there. That's the way it's going to be forever. I visualize Vermont being that way all the time, so it's an effort that I would continue. One of the other things was that we have a new senior center. We work with Mr. Coleman, who donated the money. We work with Lois McClure to build our new library. We have a new septic system in town. We totally upgraded the fire and rescue. We have a 10-year program to build up all of our dirt roads. So those are little things that are big things to a person who's on the select board. But when you look at the state and you say these are the types of things that I think I would like to accomplish, that's why I'm running.
So it sounds like you've been doing a lot of good things in your town of Charlotte.
A lot of good things.
And I serve on the local board in Burlington as well. And what I've found is it's actually a really good thing to serve on the local board and have that experience bring it to Montpelier. We have a number of people who serve in both capacities, and it actually helps both ways. I think that you probably agree with that.
Yeah, I do, and I see the conflict in Montpelier, 100 to 50, which is ridiculous. I can't imagine having that odds on a select board being 4 to 1. But in a number of circumstances, in a few years, it was 4 to 1, and I was the one lone Republican on the board, and it was very difficult sometimes. But you notice that when that's the case, you can't get anything done, and so I think it's important that we at least bring the numbers closer together in Montpelier so that something can come about with that. And
But I bet it was still important to have your perspective as a minority member on the board. I mean, I think, would you agree that it was still important to have a perspective different from everybody,
It's funny now that I'm not on the select board, and I get phone calls from the select board saying, okay, we've got this problem, what do you think we should do? So that's experience talking. That's why they want that experience. I think sending people to Montpelier with experience, well, they send you over and over and over, and it's a great thing. Don Turner, for another example. Those are the kind of things that we need to continue to do.
What issues of particular concern do you think to your constituents that you're going to bring to Montpelier? What specific issues would?
Well, I think Lake Champlain and blue algae, and I think that's the biggest thing that we have in Charlotte. We are right next to the lake. We put together a septic system for the town for Thompson's Point, and we worked that out with the people who live on Thompson's Point, where they pay so much an event to pay for that system, and we've accomplished that. Now that's something you can do anywhere in the state of Vermont if you put your mind to it, and grant money from the federal government certainly helps. Yep.
Okay, that's great. Let's see now in terms of issues that many of us have heard around the state. There's the rising issue of property taxes to fund education, and the decrease in the number of K-12 students has been a major concern. A lot of us have heard. How would you deal with that issue, or what would your comments be in terms of property taxes? And
we've got to change the way we fund it. In our community, we have people who are saying, Ed, stop. I can't do this. I have to move. And just today, I had a fellow saying, Ed, we're moving to New Hampshire. We can't fund it anymore. We just can't do it. And this is a hard-working bricklayer who works hard every single day, and he's struggling, just like so many other people in Charlotte. The perception of Charlotte is that there's all this money down in Charlotte. There may be a few people with some money, but I can guarantee you right now that I know several people with money who say enough is enough. And that's what we have to stop, and we have to change it in Montpelier.
And I think you're right. I think that we've been hearing that, a number of us, and we saw the school budgets get defeated, 35 of them, and so I think that you're right. People are kind of out there saying, I think we've hit that tipping point where people are saying what you just stated, enough is enough, so there's got to be change.
Yes.
So you will carry that, if you get elected, you'll carry that to Montpelier.
That will be my mantra, amongst other things, but I certainly will look for your leadership and Don Turner's leadership to guide me along the way.
All right. That's great. We certainly appreciate that. Okay. And so let's talk next about the administration's single-payer health care plan being scheduled to go into effect in 2017. What's your opinion of the plan, the financing of the plan, or lack of financing of a plan right now? And what do you think Vermonters, or what would you support in terms of seeing Vermonters get reasonable, affordable care?
Well, first of all, no. That would be my answer. We certainly, as people who live in America, certainly deserve to have health care. How much health care is one thing I always look at. I always said that if you have a headache, take an aspirin, don't go to the doctors, because it's now $175 to go to the doctors. So if you want to go to the doctors, you pay the $175. Now, if you have a major medical problem, or you have an aneurysm, or you had heart surgery, I think it's important that we take care of those situations. And I think we'll find that it's a lot less money.
No, I think that's a good point. Are you hearing anything when you talk to your friends and neighbors in Charlotte about the concern about the direction of the state in regards to health care, or the financing of it, and where the finances are coming from?
They're certainly worried that $1,200 a month is too much for a family of four. They're certainly worried when it's $350 a month, because the household income per month is only $900. That's one of the things that we need to look at if we're going to have health care.
Ed, communities and citizens often feel a lack of control over the choices that affect them, from state and federal mandates for education of their children to the proposed betting of military aircraft, et cetera, how that'll impact their neighborhoods. How would you balance individual rights with the common good?
You know, I go back to when we had the Brigham decision, and I think about Howard Dean put together a committee of people, and he said, "Okay, you guys, you come up with a plan. We're going to have this school funding plan." And it doesn't answer the question you're after, but it snapped right into my mind because I wanted to bring it up. It's very important to understand that Jerry Krasnow, who comes from Charlotte, who passed away, he and his committee put this funding together, and he said to everybody in the gymnasium, because we were all concerned, "What are you doing to us?" The concern, Jerry, is we really want you to tell us that what you're going to do if this is a flop. And he said, "Ed, in 1 year, if it doesn't work, we're going to get rid of it." And Jerry's been gone for 25 years, and we're still floundering around like a bunch of lobsters in the tank.
So the problem is when we implement something, we don't get rid of it in 1 year.
We say we're going to, but we don't.
And I guess in terms of health care, for example, if we go down this path and totally upend the healthcare system in Vermont, it's not going to be easy to just go back if it turns out to be a disaster.
You're never going back, and I think that the government, especially Montpelier, should stay right out of the healthcare business.
Ed, let's move on to the issue of parental choice in education. What's your thoughts on that in terms of?
I think we should give the teaching of the children back to the parents, and get rid of the superintendents, and start this whole process over where the parents have all the control of the schools.
So you'd like to see more consolidation in terms of schools and superintendents and so forth?
Well, I'm not so sure that total consolidation is the secret, but in some cases, yes. In Charlotte, we have Charlotte, Williston, Hinesburg, and Shelburne, and we consolidated to CVU. That's where CVU comes from. And to say that we couldn't do that with the school system, with all the elementary schools, I think that's the place where we want to go.
Thanks. Ed, what about economic growth? We're going along at a fairly anemic rate. What would you propose that would do in terms of creating jobs for Vermonters and economic security for families in Vermont? Obviously, we have an issue right now. IBM is possibly, what we've heard with IBM is concerning a lot of people. I know the governor's sort of sung a different tune lately, but what's your thoughts on economic vitality and creation of jobs?
I feel sorry for the people who work at IBM, and I feel sorry for the businesses that are surrounding Essex Junction, because they've put their whole life into this situation over there. And for the governor to step up to the plate and say, well, there's 38 new jobs over IBM is sort of a ridiculous statement. And as far as how do we get IBM to stay or to re-up, I would go after Global Foundries and I would offer them the money to come to Essex Junction and park their little butts right in Charlotte. I mean, in Essex Junction.
In terms of tax incentives?
Yes, and if IBM wants to leave, then so long IBM, and they do want to leave. They've got other plans. But Global Foundries is going crazy in Malta, New York. They're even coming up here and hiring people. I don't want them to do that. Come here and let me help you get people up here.
Obviously, significant loss of jobs doesn't only affect the people who lose the jobs, which obviously has a direct effect there, but also has an impact, ripple effect throughout the entire community.
Right.
Stores and other businesses.
It's terrible. I know Essex Junction is a great place to live. There's 9,000 people who live in Essex Junction. There's people who live up the road, down the road, east, west. They even come from Plattsburgh, New York. So it affects all of us, and we need to look at that. If we have a tank of money in Montpelier and they want to give it away, I'd say call Global Foundries and say, hey, how about we give you $5 million to kind of make the deal, seal the deal.
Well, Ed, it sounds like you have a good deal of experience in local politics and issues that have been important in Charlotte and would bring certainly a good voice to Montpelier. Ed, why don't you wrap the show up by just telling your friends and neighbors and the people of Charlotte what you're going to be talking about and listening to their voices. Well,
I think the biggest issue in Charlotte is our beautiful lake. And to me, that's an issue that everybody's scared to go to. They know where the problem is. They just don't want to say the problem. And we need to get a certain group of people to say, yes, this is the problem, and work the problem. I know that phosphorus is the killer. Phosphorus is the problem. Every time you turn around, it's always phosphorus, phosphorus, and we know where it's coming from. And I think that there's enough dairy people in the state of Vermont who are absolutely willing to give up whatever it takes to make that lake pure like it used to be. When I was growing up, we didn't go down Star Farm Beach, did we? We always raced down to Star Farm Beach because we couldn't get there fast enough to get into that crystal water. But now, we back away from that. So I think Lake Champlain is my key issue. That's what I put it on. There's certainly a whole bunch of problems, but I think that's a major problem, and that would be a big economic boom to the area.
And you will be going door to door and hearing from your constituents and
Listen, Kurt, I've been going door to door for 5 years now, and it's been fruitless, but it always gets closer and it gets closer and gets closer. So the last time I ran, I was shy 110 votes, and this time I hope to get over that 110 votes, and hopefully the people of Charlotte will give me a break and give somebody else a chance to go into Montpelier.